I do have an unbiased plot line of the story. So it begins with a prayer service. Like every favorite thing of mine, it always begins with a prayer service. And it's God talking to this recent addition to the wings of heaven without his wings. And everyone is praying for George Bailey, who is this wonderful, good man from Bedford Falls, New York, who has fallen on some hard times. And at the whole beginning, you are basically watching snippets and moments in George's life, from the time in 1919 where he saves his brother from drowning in ice, to where he meets his future wife, Mary, and she whispers in his ear, his deaf ear, that she loves him and will love him forever. And then you go on to the future time where he's even with a drugstore. The chemist has lost his son, and so is about to poison accidentally another kid. Anyway, so all of these life moments that happen, and they're watching. And George Bailey owns the Bedford Falls Savings and Loan, where he took it over from his father, who is deceased, and his uncle, who is his uncle is incompetent. And so he stays. He does not go to school. He does not travel the world. He intends to, but he can't. He gives it all up so that he can help people. And he helps them build their homes, and he gives them loans because every man wants his own fireplace that he can call his own. And he's really, really good. But his uncle loses $8,000. In 1946, $8,000 was a lot of money. And the bank was going to call the loan, and he has reached his boiling point where he cannot function anymore. He cannot function, and the world is against him, and everything that could go wrong is going wrong. So he gets drunk. He drives down to the bridge, and then he meets this angel being who does not yet have his wings. And he rescues him. The angel jumps in the water to save George Bailey. And George does not jump in the water to end his own life. He actually saves this angel, Clarence. And then he wishes that he were never born, but instead, no, he wishes he were dead. And then he says, no, I wish I were never born. And then Clarence grants his wish. With the power of heaven, he grants the wish that he was never born, and he gets to see what it is. And then he enters into an alternate reality. The alternate reality that he ends up in is 1985, where Biff Tannen owns the entire town of Hill Valley. Yeah, that's the future without George Bailey. And Harry Potter is apparently this old fat guy who now owns Bedford Falls, and it's now called Pottersville. And he ends up by punching Bert and Ernie in the face. And then he runs back and he wants someone to remember him. Please remember me. Please remember me. And then it turns out that Clarence tells him, see what you gave up, because you weren't here. Your brother died. And when your brother died, he was not able to save the people in World War II. The entire platoon died. And because you weren't there, so because he wasn't there, Mary never marries. And because he's not there, his children are not born. And because he's not there, all of these things have happened. Nothing is right. And so he wants to live again. He wants to live. He begs to live. He wants to live. And Clarence grants him that request. And then there he is standing by the river, and Bert, not Ernie, Bert says, you're bleeding, George. And he says, I'm bleeding. And then he runs back through town, and he goes back to his old house, and he is so excited that he's bleeding and alive. And then, of course, he's happy to see all of his children. And then there's a bell that rings, and the child, the famous last word, God bless us, everyone, you'll shoot your eye out. And every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And that's the end.
That's right. Way to go, Clarence. Way to go.